And again, in 3, 2, 1, go. There's our rapier, there's our hammer. Go ahead and get our chainmail as well. That was really sad too. We had the emergency exit, which was a really great 15 puzzle drop. Just couldn't make it stay alive during that Astos fight. Astos was really unhelpful with that. That was definitely a fight that could have gone much more in our favor for it. Oh, look at this jerk. Here we go. Blaming Dan's always fair. In 100% of situations, Dan is definitely to blame. Sometimes 150%. Yeah, Glass Shell, we died on Astos. Hey, Patrick, welcome in. So once again, for level 2, we need about 12 imps, or we need some bonus experience that is relatively doable. Like, depending on how it goes, sometimes like a ghoul would be good, assuming that Dan doesn't get paralyzed for it. Skeletons, they're kind of okay-ish. Skeletons and zombies both are weak to Dia. They don't give you nearly as much experience as another one would. Ooh, crazy horse. This guy's probably worth a decent amount compared to imps. Oh yeah, there's level 2. Ooh, I think I still have a strong level up. Might have just been good MP and not actually good HP. And it was just Dan and Doma. The expected ones. Hey there, Adam. Welcome in. Not much I can do about keeping the red mages alive. We're just gonna hope that Garland does not knock them down. Good first round start. I mean, the ideal would be getting a critical here because it would save probably an entire round of attacks if, like, Doma got a crit. I'm pretty sure the evidence is against Garland knocking things down. I'm not sure if we've ever seen anything that he has toppled over. He couldn't even overturn an apple cart. There we go. That was a fast Garland. Alright, we'll take a princess for our troubles. We just came here to hang out with some bats, and we found a princess, which was a bonus. There we go, one loot as well. That's really, really what we're doing it for. We don't care about the money, the fame, the bridges. It's all for the musical instruments. Hey, Dwelly, thank you much for the resubscription there. And yes, sadly, there is no out-of-bounds bat in PSP, but we're working on it. One day we will have the technology to make every bat go out of bounds. When does saving the world end? Dan's really just saving the world in order to destroy it himself. He doesn't want anybody else to get it done first. Alright, back in town. Let's go ahead and grab our antidotes. I could probably do the inn first with this particular route, because the east exit is way less likely to be blocked off in this version of the game. The NPC starts at a different location, so he's more likely to be blocking the item shop. But the exit at least is relatively clear. Here we go, the second time across the bridge in this here tonight. We will not dwell and linger upon that. We are going to Provoca, and very few things can stop us. Me and iguanas, probably on the list. Everything else we can get away from. Well, Doma's got great hit points. 93 is an amazing amount right here. Everybody else has got terrible hit points. We did not get a strong level up on either red mage. Dan also got close to the minimums for an increase. But Doma really rocking that HP total. Ooh, that was really fast too on the Provoca trip. Not trusting 23 HP on a red mage. The pirates do hit a lot harder in this version. And not just because we've got a white mage who is soft and squishy and named Dan. But also because I think their stats are generally better. Where do I grind in this game? For this version of the game, I would recommend grinding on the eye. It gives you a little bit more than one Aghanim worth of experience and is faster to kill. On NES, you grind on Aghanim because everything else is kind of too dangerous, and you need to get the experience at very controlled points in time. So far, we're still good. Doma, in addition to great hit points, is also doing just barely enough damage to kill pirates, which is very uncommon. There, he finally missed. I mean, he was doing so good up until then. Alright, one ship obtained. Let's hopefully get another good 15 puzzle. If we can get another emergency exit, that'd be amazing. Emergency exit is like a 3-minute time savings between Lich and Vampire. Or get an emergency exit again. I need to get second place from the prize pool, which for right now, second place means finishing in more than 30 seconds, but less than 1 minute. Let's get some time here. Give me a little bit of room to squeeze in a second playthrough. And let's do 42. Remedy again. Well, Remedy and Ether do sell for quite a bit of cash, especially the Remedy. So that's a good start. But it's not an emergency exit. Gonna give me a little bit of room, and emergency exit. We're out of there. Both times the emergency exit was in the second playthrough. So that was a really, really good one overall for timing. Alright, so staff out of the way. Remedy can go. Knife can go. I'm actually going to hang on to that ether if possible. It's not guaranteed that the money situation is going to work out, but the ether does potentially help out in a few spots. Go ahead and grab our 2 tempers. That guy's going to be a jerk again. I think Black Magic Shop is the best place to do that reset. Oh man, look at that guy go. There we go. 25% chance of blocking that exit up, and he seems to do it almost 100% of the time. Odds of emergency exit, between 2 playthroughs, it's roughly going to be like 1 in 6 or so. Depends a little bit on whether I go for a Mega Elixir instead of doing a second place completion. Mega Elixir is what you get for first place, and it's a lot of money. Or it saves you having to pick up the elixir from Phantom's room. But generally I like to go for emergency exits if I can. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. Come on, run, 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 run! That's not running. Hopefully Gil does not die here. There we go. Got a little bit more NP than last time, but that doesn't mean much. You can quickly go through your MP healing people. 2 Cobras is dicey. Like, the odds of getting poisoned here are really good. By really good, I mean really bad. There we go. That worked out. Why can't my red mages get any HP at all? Both the fighter and the white mage doing really good for hit points. Both red mages, awful. One creep down. Good, Gil didn't get hit. Gil didn't get hit again. So far, still pretty good. Yeah, we can afford to drop down. I don't need to have more tempers than that. We're going to get 1 more round of tempers here. Oh, we need 1 round of tempers. We need so many tempers right now. Do I preemptively cure somebody? Yeah, I'm going to try to preemptively cure Gil. So, great experience, but really dangerous fight. Okay, preemptive failed. You just have to hope that the mages do not get pounded too badly. Okay, that's good, that's good. That's actually okay. That's fine. We can make this work. Okay. We should have him here. Do not run away, please. This Ogre Groger fight, the most experience you can get other than places like Peninsula Power right now. And we got the max, which was both Ogres with the Groger in a gigantic combo of XP. Hey, Triforce, welcome in. This is run attempt number 2. First run died at Astos. But we are trying again here. This red mage HP is really, really bothering me, but there's probably nothing I can really do about it. Level 7 is achievable because we did get that double Ogre Groder fight. In fact, we might go for it here. The odds, though, of actually getting a strong level up, though, between the two red mages, you would think one of them would have a strong level up by now, but it very rarely works out. Hey, thanks for good wishes there, Triforce. Alright, pretty good start. If we get another one of those, then maybe we are looking at level 7. Is White Mage good for anything other than healing? Not really, but healing is incredibly important in this version of the game. I mean, I guess the most interesting strat that you can do with White Mage that really doesn't work with anybody else is that you can try to Null Frost on Lich, giving yourself another opportunity to survive. Like, even if you cast Blizzara, Null Frost would cut the damage enough to be survivable. And we did get a red mage strong level up there, so that is really, really good to see. Tomac could potentially survive 2 hits in the wizard battle. I would bet against Guild taking 2 hits and still being alive. Also, level 7 kind of makes me feel a bit better for getting the required experience post Marsh Cave. I need level 8 on the White Mage and level 9 on the Red Mages to have optimal grinding for mummies. Marsh Cave, try number 2. I mean, the first one technically succeeded, but since 2 people died on the wizards, I'm not able to revive both of them. I don't have enough money to buy a Provoca Phoenix Down. Actually, does Provoca even have them? Or do I have to buy the Phoenix Down at Conaria before leaving there? I think I might have to buy the Phoenix Down at Conaria. And Provoca just sells ethers. Been a long time since I've actually bought stuff from that shop, though. Very good preemptives. This gamble pays off. We have 2 wizards. That's a good start. We would like to see good turn order. All right, Gil's still alive. That's the important part of this. If Gil gets his temper off, Gil got his temper off right there before Doma went, then we'd be down to 1 wizard and we'd be in much better shape. Oh boy. Oh, there goes Gil. Defending, he might be able to block this and still survive. All right, Gil missing out on some experience, but not the end of the world. We'll at least go into the Astros fight with everybody alive. Hopefully. Unless somebody dies here, which is unlikely. the full poisonous party mix and a bonus spider. Go around right hand side. Real time, that is equal length. NES, you want to go left hand side because it actually saves you a step on the way back to walk in front of that doorway. But the left hand side means dealing with a bat that often will block your path. Well, Marsh Cave complete. We're not like on the best pace for getting our mages to level 9. Also, this is going to be a really ugly fight if Dan gets paralyzed. So far, this is good. Should be able to kill 2 here, I think. Only 1. Well, this point, it's a lot safer in terms of distribution. We're closer to having them dead, where we could just kind of pick them off one at a time, even if we did not get another Dia there. Is the power of Dia, though. Having an AoE spell for that white mage, extremely convenient for the early game. All right, Astos take 2. Our first attempt did not go well. I mean, we did about as best as we could, given the circumstances for it. Missing rub is really good. If he rubs Dan, it's not terrible. That's why I put Dan in the first slot, so he'd be the most likely to be targeted. Okay, punching the fighter is good, although the fighter did not wait for his tempers. Because Astos did not kill anybody in round 1. We do get double tempers at the start. Which probably might be to defend. Alright, who does he kill? Will he kill Dan? There he goes. Alright, well, Red Mage is getting more experience. That helps a little bit make up for Gil being dead on the Wizards. Slow, not on the fighter. Excellent. We have enough tempers right here to kill Astos. So, as long as Doma does not miss. I guess he could also just barely fall short because of a bad roll here. But we got him. There we go. That was a little bit of a better kill. I'm not sure why Dan celebrates that being dead, but if it makes Dan happy, I'm willing to go along with it. We'll see how many runs we can get successfully through here. Wolves are really fast, but we are starting to get enough levels that we can kind of counteract the faster enemies to some extent. And slow enemies like ogres should be no problem. I'm not sure if a 0 damage hit still can apply status effects. I bet it can. In which case, defending might not be helping the red mages at all. That delicious ogre experience. I mean, technically at this point, ogres are not really the best source of XP over most other things that are out there. Like, mummies are definitely going to be better. You can kill them really fast. Ooh, this could be bad. Okay, not paralyzed yet. There we go. Tomak getting us out of there. Without Dan to help, undead are suddenly scary again. Good start. We got Dan back. We're going to go pick up Thundara here, because it can actually help me speed up some of this walk if we happen to be able to Thundara away the monsters. I don't have enough money, though, to also get Fyra. So we have to go back to that black magic shop. Like, ideally, you can get both the spells at once there, which is 4,000 total gil. And that saves you a couple steps of walking in the return trip. So tempting to take on those ogres, but not meant to be. For the most part, we can more or less ignore the monsters. There are a few which are fast enough, like regular wolves and sahags. Maybe some of the odd eyes as well, since those have a fairly good chance of paralyzing. But anything I can run from, it's better to run than to fight. One old woman, not at all robbed, because we are fine, upstanding citizens, and also we don't want her stuff. Plain old potions, way less valuable here. There is a few treasure chests where they've replaced low-value items. And so if you don't realize the item swaps, it actually can be interesting doing like an all chest run at some point of like GBA or PSP just to see what they've substituted out. Flee. Kind of an odd selection of commands there, so probably one that's not going to be easy to memory curse around. But that'll work for most of the encounters here that are not really easily runnable, and things that are easily runnable I can just do LNR. Caffeine's good for a lot of situations. Like, caffeine's really, I think, what Dan needs. Dan would take way fewer naps if he just had more coffee. Elf, I would like to trade you this herb for 1 key. You don't even need to fix the Brents. We just want the key from him. Actually, I think the Chancellor's got the key. Because we never directly talk to the prince in this version. The original NES version, you talk to the prince to get the key instead. But maybe the Chancellor has been secretly misusing it this entire time, stealing all the good treasures, replacing them with these mediocre ones that we get instead. Okay, I should have enough MP to complete the quest here. So I'd like to do Dwarf Cave and Corneria before going back to doing the mummy grind. I sometimes don't do the Dwarf Cave, but I really should because it is a weapon upgrade for our characters, so they're getting generally better stuff to fight the mummies with for the ones that don't die to fire too. And I should always just do the castle first in this version. NES, you do town first because you want to swap off your items and then drop the new weapons into those slots instead. The shopping trip works out a little bit differently here in the remake versions. So there is our iron armor and our TNT. We also get a tent there, which is new. That's an iron shield in the original, and that's a nice one to swap out because we don't need a second iron shield in this version of the game with only one fighter. This here is not what we want. There we go. Equipment. And we don't want Dan with this silver hammer. There we go. Need to raise some cash. That can go. Those can go. Cottage can go. And chainmail. So ideally 4 Phoenix Downs here. The rest of the stuff I can buy later on. So Phoenix Downs are the most important. I'm hoping that 4 is enough. Hey, Tie-Dye, welcome in. We're in time for attempt number 2. Attempt number 1 died at Astos. Number 2 has gotten past him. We're on to getting ready for the mummy grind now. Double Thunder, I think, does kill the Gerwolf. But either way, once the regular wolves are dead, our ability to run actually gets much better since the enemy agility is going down. It's the regular wolves that have a lot more agility than the Gerwolf does. Squeeze around some dwarves here. All right. There is one canal blasted open. And the canal does give us access to Crescent Lake and Melmon, but we don't have the levels really yet to take on Lich. And there's nothing you can do at Crescent Lake besides some shopping until Lich is dead. Lich being dead and getting the Earth Orb is what triggers the canoe to be accessible. I actually don't know if it's the Lich Death or the Orb, which this version of the game checks. I'm pretty sure the NES version checks for the Orb being lit, because a lot of things for progression of the Fiends is just using the Orb status indicator. One beautiful canal blown open. Let's go do some more robbery. There's some really good stuff in here. This is a surprisingly lucrative area for what you're seeing in the other treasure chests that are around the Mystic Key. I know maybe Temple of Fiends is also pretty good just because it's such a density of high value items, getting both the Wear Sword and the Rune Buster 2 out of 3 treasure chests. The other one's a soft potion, so actually it's not too bad either. Maybe Temple of Fiends is the best, and then Dwarf Cave is the second best. Marsh Cave, of course, the absolute worst. Nobody wants to go back to Marsh Cave, even if it does have a silver bracelet. All right, and looking over at my timing, we are past the 1 hour mark. So at this point, I will do safety saves to make sure that we can complete a run tonight. We got a very good start so far. This is excellent for a beginning to a single segment run. Well, I'm sure we can dream that all of the dwarves die horribly in that explosion. It's gotta happen at some point. Alright, so Mithril Mail, actually, let me just go ahead and do the upgrades. That can go, Chainmail can go, the Cottage can go. That's a decent amount to work with here. Cura and Diara. If I have enough cash, I will go ahead and make sure I pick up those as well before leaving. I did not. Okay, so what we're going to do instead is just max out on my potions, and that's pretty much it. You didn't know we wanted the dwarves to explode. Have you seen how often those dwarves get in my way? They're number 3 on my list after... let's see, who's on the top? I mean, bats probably have to be number 1. The dwarves are pretty close to the top. Ooh, we don't have Fyra. That was a mistake. Luckily, we're pretty close to the town still. Easiest way to get this to work out now. I think I have to lose the Mithril Mail. Do I have a backup here I could buy? Not really. Oh boy, this is going to be painful. Actually, no, I need to sell it. Mistakes were made. Yeah, I don't really want to get rid of anything else. This is what I get for putting off the Fyra shopping earlier on. So I should have budgeted for, instead of a stack of potions as big as the one that I got, having a good amount of money left over for my Fyra spells, but I did not do that correctly. So as a result, I've got a very squishy red mage right here, and hopefully that doesn't come back and bite me. Gil still has a 3rd tier spell charge left. 15 MP for Thundara or Fyra. I really only need those on undead fights and on fights with large wolf populations. Now, looking at my Red Mage HP totals, which are abysmal, we are probably going to want to get level 13 here for Dan, so that we can do the Null Frost strategy on Lich. Null Frost, assuming that Dan goes before Lich does, is a really, really great way to reduce your overall damage that you take. Actually, we do not want him wearing Power Staff. That is a much more valuable item to sell. Ooh, and the 4 ambush. We don't want killing it yet. Ooh, what a terrible start. What a terrible start. Hey, Delphi Knight, welcome in. Thanks for good wishes. We needed it right away. This fight very much stacked against us here at the beginning. Oh, we might have gotten him. There we go. Whew, okay. One mummy group down. Only like 20 more to go. Dan's always to the rescue. There we go. We got the D off. Now Fyra will finish them. I really like seeing that Dia go super early. Ooh, Tomac got a strong level up. We'll see if Gil gets a strong level up as well. I can tell he did not level up at all because he still has current HP equal to max. And when you level up, you always get at least some HP. You hit the left chest instead of the right chest. Maybe we will do left chest after I get the first loop of these done. Okay, at least Gil does get the Fyra off. Double Fyra not ideal. I probably should defend whenever there's 2 or 3 mummies, because then it's a lot safer to be going in with just a single Fire 2 cast. There's 4 or 5. I kind of like doing double Fyras, since that gives me a much more reliable way of having a guarantee that somebody is going to get a fire off in that first round. There we go, good start. I still think we need level 13 given our current trending stats. I'm just going to go ahead tent here and do a second mummy loop. I was pretty wasteful as well with the Fyras, which I might have been able to eke out 2 more fights if I had been more cautious with it. But this works out pretty good given that we do have to do extra battles anyway. And just because it was requested, left side. It's all Tie-Dye's fault if this doesn't work out. Preemptive with 5, alright. Never doubt Tie-Dye again. Dan taking a nap is exactly why I queued up both Fyra casts. I'd rather spend the extra 15 MP than potentially go to a second round with that many mummies. Okay, we've got 12 on everyone except for Dan. So Dan needs a little bit more than a level. We've got maximum 7 more mummies that we can do with this current set of MP. I'd prefer not to have to 10 again, but I'm definitely not leaving here unless Dan is 13. Okay, 6 more casts to go. Really only 5 because the last battle I don't want to go in there with only 1 Fyra, and it turns out to be like a 5 mummy ambush. Hey James. Dragon Quest Heroes 2 is a real pain. Yeah, it's unfortunately not as easy to speedrun as Dragon Quest Heroes 1 was. Like, I think a lot of things about Heroes 2 were really good for gameplay, but in terms of speedrunning, it's kind of awkward for the setup of it. All of them going to my back rows. Each one of those hits, a 1 in 8 chance of landing on those mages. Ooh, preemptive. Let's do the fire with Tomek. So we still have 3 Fire 2s left. We haven't seen anybody hit 13 yet, and we know that Dan's probably 1 battle behind the rest of the party. Which is faster, GB or PSP normal play? I mean, the big thing about PSP is that if you use an electronic version of the game, like you make an ISO out of the game image, it'll be really fast. And since it's got a lower encounter rate than GBA by just a little bit, I think that would make it overall a faster version. With a disc, though, the PSP's got like really bad load times. So I think GBA is faster if you're playing on the original copy of the game. Dan didn't hit 13. Hey, all names you're taking, welcome in. Oh, and the 5 mummy ambush to finish it. We need Gil and Dan to not be put to sleep here. We especially need Gil to get this turn off. Here's the Fyra. That's big. That's going to be like twice as much damage as Dan's Dia. There we go. Dan gets level 13, so now he can learn Null Frost back at Elfland. Alright, now everything's good. I can't believe Dova's got 300 hit points already. That's ridiculous for this early part of the game. Why doesn't he share some of those with the red mages? If he was less greedy, we would not have needed to get to level 13. There we see our fighter has almost 3 times as much HP as our red mage in the back. I'm kind of thinking that we've already identified tonight's Dan, and it's not gonna be Dan. Can you learn level 4 spells before being able to cast them? No. In the GBA and PlayStation Portable versions, you cannot buy spells until you are able to cast them. And that restriction exists because otherwise the NP system would be broken. Like, if you have a spell and you can use it, you're going to have enough MP to be able to abuse it quite a lot. Alright, so I'm going to just go ahead and pick up Cura and Diara while I'm going past here as well. There's Cura, Diara. I need to grab the Null Frost. And we'll just restock on items here. Also, I need to get gold needles. Yeah, that's right. Gold needles are still not purchased, so we get 4 of those. That should be good for a while. 10 tens, I think, is a plenty amount. Like, we only have to get to Crescent Lake. Canal already open, so means time for Melmond, which there actually is something useful here. I will want to get 2 silver bracelets tonight, 1 for my white mage, 1 for Gil, because we had to sell the mithril armor earlier. So normally I would have a red mage already decked out in some better armor, but the money situation was not working out in my favor. There we go. Like the millionth time, Dan, stop putting that power staff on. Sell the power staff just so Dan can't keep using it. "5 minutes to vampire." We might be able to make that. And we definitely save time on having the emergency exit, because that means not having to do Earth Cave backwards after beating Vampire, which is really, really big. Why did we deny Dan the power? Dan cannot handle the power. Dan would be destroyed by it. Speaking of which, we should put Dan in slot 2, just in case the power comes and destroys him. Okay, but I do want to grab 2 things on the way down. The Coral Sword as well as the money on Vampire's floor. I think this is the trip to do both of those. I really want to kill some bulls, but to preempt him, I have a hard time saying no to just doing the run. I mean, you have to give Dan the power, or you have to give Cal the Bane Sword. If Dan had the Bane Sword, he'd probably hit our own team. Worst thing that Cal does is just misses entirely. There's a bat on the other side. Luckily, the bats can move while you're inside. I guess lucky and unlucky. It means that you don't have to really watch where you're going when you enter into rooms from the far side, for the ones that have 2 doors. But it does mean that you can be in a single room with no bats behind you, and then by the time that you come out of the room, the bat is already blocking the way. All right, Vampire, let's see what we are going to do to you tonight. Hopefully, it's going to be a really fast fight. We got our Diaras, we got our Fyras. He does paralyze the fighter, but the other three members do... I mean, almost everybody does exactly the same amount of damage here. It's like 60 to 100 on everybody. There goes the second person. Man, I'd suck to get stun locked in the vampire battle. Such a good run. Okay, Grogu's is not bad. As long as it's not like a cockatrice ambush or something. And see you later, Earth Cave. We are out of there. That's like the by far most valuable place to use that emergency exit. You're going to have warp for the late game, so you don't really need it past when you get class change. And early game, everywhere else that you're backtracking through dungeons, they're not like super dangerous. You know, the boss fight's much more dangerous than the dungeon is, except for Earth Cave floors 3 and 4. Those places are awful. I guess maybe Ice Cave, you could make an argument that the emergency exit would be really good there. Like get the floater and emergency exit out instead of redoing the 3rd floor. For this run, you get a lot of levels from the eye fights before redoing the 3rd floor. And that means that usually it's not that terrible. Yep, expensive for you. Totally missed the vampire fight. Vampire fight actually is a lot longer in this version. And yes, it's really easy to miss it because it could be like a one-shot. But you do less damage and he's got twice as much HP in the remakes. I mean, we shouldn't get stun locked here. We have 3 people that can AoE this group. I mean, I would say the vampire fight is like a legitimate fight. You probably have much higher chance of dying on the vampire than you will on a random encounter. Unless the random encounter is like cockatrices. Maybe Spectergeist. Look at that beautiful rod we just found. Totally sitting there doing absolutely nothing, minding its own business. And Dang walks up and snaps it right into his hands. Actually reminds me, I don't know what item the vampire drops. Maybe he drops knives. Maybe he does actually bring knives to this fight. If it was a really good knife though, then I would maybe take it. Like if he had katanas, which are basically knives, I would not want those. But if he had like a butter knife, that'd be twice as good. I think we're starting to hit 14 on people. which is not bad for progression. I mean, I don't take a lot of experience here. The old route, your backup strat, instead of getting Null Frost, was to get more levels, because you will get another guaranteed struggle up, I believe it, either 15 or 16. It's definitely a lot of experience that you need for it. And I like this approach, which spends more time at Northwest Castle doing the mummies, but basically eliminates the need to grind here in Earth Cave. Maybe it's 14. Why did I take the top route? You've already got the Coral Sword. Thinking for a second that I didn't have the Coral Sword, so we needed to go and pick up the top half. But we could have done the bottom half instead, saved a couple steps. Still going up to the Coral Sword. Even after I said we don't need to go get the Coral Sword again. You failed to run to Grogers! They're slower than a pile of slow, on top of another pile of slow riding a sloth. I mean, I guess you guys can go all-out attack. I do have a backup ether in case we use too much MP here. But you only need like 40 MP on the red mages to be good. That's what you need for tempers. And you need a little bit on the white mage to have your Null Frost cast. But they removed a bat right there. It used to be 3 bats instead of 2, which is why you get blocked so much less often on the remake versions. Those are like really nice quality of life improvements. Like removing 1 bat makes an amazing difference overall. Bendaris may have been wasteful for only 2 wizards. Gil especially, I'm kind of worried about his MP total. He's got way less MP than the other red mage. Gil's just like not getting good level ups. HP and MP, he's doing really, really bad. There's the cockatrices. I think we actually want to go for attacking, because our odds of running are very bad against these things. But anybody can do it though. Dan. Dan's got this. Dan had it. Should have trusted in Dan. Just have everybody try to run so that we didn't use up the MP. It's getting really tight for Gil. Gonna have 51 after this. Trolls are another one that are like, maybe you can run, maybe you can't. But they're good experience, so you don't really want to run unless you have to. I probably could have done some cures there. Dan doesn't need to save like every single MP for the Lich fight. Okay, made it to level 5. B5 is where the dungeon calms back down a little bit. Cockatrices are gone, specters and geists are gone, the wizards are gone. Seemingly encounters less frequent. Take our very first save of the night. Now that we are past 1 hour into the stream. And our odds are decent here. Lich is seemingly less likely to do spells, so you can sometimes get Null Frost off even if you don't beat him on turn order. There we go, that works out perfectly. Maybe I shouldn't put Dan in the front. Like, if he got paralyzed, that'd be really bad. And have a good night, Ekatrankowski. Thanks for hanging out. You're gonna miss out on this awesome Lich kill. But, I guess if you have to go to bed, you have to go to bed. Goes. I'm surprised I lost time on that. I wonder if I had a emergency exit for the run I'm comparing against as well. I know there was at least one run before this that had an emergency exit. I got some pretty good times. Hey, Everglow, was Dan random or forced? Dan is always forced. We are one fiend in. 3 fiends to go, plus 4 more fiends, plus some more bosses and chaos. But there's one down. And that's what's important. So with our newfound success going to our heads, we're going to make a beeline straight for Crescent Lake, grab our canoe, and then check out Ordeals. Ordeals is a really, really rough dungeon in the remakes. Unlike NES where you're manipulating the encounters, you have to roll with it. And your odds of sorcerers are really high. Your odds of Medusas are really high. Even though you've got gold needles, it's not a pleasant fight. Mostly those are sorcerers. Gargoyles and mancats are actually not bad in this version. They're somewhat difficult to run from, but since they've got Fire 1 instead of Fire 2, you can pick them off pretty easily. I would say running is actually moderately successful. The only reason you might not want to run is that after they do their Fire 1 cast, they'll start doing, or at least I think the Gargoyles go to hold after that, which is single target paralysis. So if you got unlucky, they could start stun locking you. Big pile of junk. Cobras and Scorpions, a fairly tough encounter. That's, even at this point, like past Lich, I'd say it's a relatively rough one. Definitely in Earth Cave, and especially definitely in Marsh Cave. It's Scorpions only. There aren't any Cobras in the formation. But Marsh Cave is like incredibly early to get monsters that difficult. We're taking that much damage with silver bracelets, which you're not going to have at the time. Alright, so nobody's dead. Don't need to go to the inn. Do need to get a whole bunch of ethers, though. Get some more Phoenix Downs for right now. That should be good for a while. rest of our totals should be good too. Like, I don't even think that I need that many Phoenix Downs. And as long as I got 10,000 gold coming out, then I'm good. So the buckler is 2 extra absorb for our mages. NES doesn't bother with bucklers because the inventory slots are too precious to give up. You have to do way more juggling if the road mages were carrying around an extra shield item. But for remakes where you've got a shared party inventory, it's more about the cash than anything else. Do I Bane team out in this run? Not in this version, because with Temper and Saber and Fast on a fighter, you can beat out Tiamat's defense. And so physically attacking is usually a 4 or 5 round fight, whereas it's like 10 to 12 rounds in the original version. Whew, man, there's a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Well, you know what we can do? Drop some Thundaras there. 2 Thundaras, I'm hoping, is going to kill most of these things. Oh, it's going to kill my red mage. It's going to kill Dan, too. Oh, boy. Well, good thing I bought all those Phoenix Downs. That is why scorpions and cobras are unpleasant. Now I'm wishing I bought more Phoenix Downs, because we could easily get 4 or 5 people killed by sorcerers and ordeals. Mike's not casting that Thundara. Gil will, though. Might as well go ahead and drop a tent while I'm thinking about it. I don't need that many more tents for this upcoming stretch. Like, once I get out of here and complete through Ice Cave, I can start switching over from tents to cottages at that point. You get so much more money when you're doing an eye grind rather than Agamas, that purchases generally are not too rough. I do need to buy more at Gaia, though. The Gaia trip, you get a 20% discount on items, but you need to buy 1 extra per ring, and you need to buy a gold bracelet for this route. No bad encounters. It's a moderately okay-ish encounter. They're actually relatively slow monsters. I was surprised that Catmen were so slow. I figured they'd be super fast. Alright, here we go. Remake requires you to talk to this guy. And yes, you can ignore him. And yes, will activate the teleporter as long as you're holding the crown in your inventory. Whereas the remake, you have to talk to that guy to activate the chair. Otherwise, it just does nothing. It's a weird change overall. Like, I mean, I guess they want you to talk to him so that you don't miss the information about the teleporter puzzle. But you'll figure it out really fast what's going on. Okay. Zombies are not bad. Tiara, Fire. We might do enough damage with just the spells. We can definitely kill one of them. Alright, we do enough. Dan's got fairly good intelligence. He's able to get that multiplier working on the harm too. he didn't have a multiplier, then he'd be doing less damage than fire too. Go ahead and take our second save of the night. I don't have Ice 1. So the nightmares are actually somewhat challenging to deal with. They do a lot of damage. They're super fast, so you can't really run from them. And they're very hard to hit. Hey, Stan, welcome in. Thanks for the good wishes. We're going to need them. This is the toughest floor of ordeals. And I would put this floor right up there with maybe bottom floor of Ice Cave for worst floors in the game. Resistant to fire, so fire is out. Thundara does a little bit of damage. You can see here we're going to do like 90 or so, but you need 200. So at least we're making a little bit of progress. That's right, just put darkness on Dan. That's perfect. Man, Dan's getting hit for 50 with the fence. I actually don't know how much benefit there is to defending. I know it is supposed to increase your armor absorb a little bit, but it might just be like a really small effect. Oh boy. This is not good. Dan, you need to be super clutch. Be super clutch, Dan. Dan is super clutch. There we go. That should work for items. Dan had it. I don't know why anybody was scared. It was only 4 sorcerers. Maybe it was 5. It was 5 sorcerers. Even less reason to worry about it. Dan's totally got the more sorcerers there are, the better Dan does. Looks like we're going to ether up here. I mean, this is good experience, if nothing else. We didn't get experience from the sorcerer battle, sadly, but I'll take living over the alternatives that most frequently happen from that fight. I don't think Dan with the gauntlets is going to do a tremendous amount. The Medusas are weak to fire, which is why fire is such a good thing to have against them. But if we don't kill them with 1 fire, I'm thinking that maybe Dan and the higher intelligence multiplier will at least do respectable damage here and still finish him off. All right, we're good. Oh, all right. Well, we need to just clutch. They don't have a lot of HP, So if we get one more lit to it, or not lit to it from Dan, or from you. Uh-oh, it's up to Tomek. Oh boy. Good thing I had all those Phoenix downs. I mean, a little bit of slow ordeals as a result, but we made it through it. That's the important thing. We made it through it. Sorcerers are the best enemies in the game, and they give you terrible experience. Just so that you know you should never fight them again. And there we go. 1 ordeals. Complete it. 1 ice cave left to go. Should be able to get Blizzara and Haste here. No. How many Agamas worth of experience is a sorcerer? A sorcerer is 40% of an Agama. It's a terrible deal. Go. The 9 or the 8 can't run the shark. We finally got past him though. Alright, the bad news is that they don't sell Phoenix Downs here. So I'm only gonna have 2 Phoenix Downs for Ice Cave. I can at least buy a whole bunch of gold needles. That'd be pretty set for the rest of the game. Actually, that low count of Phoenix Downs makes me really worried. I'm going to go nearby Crescent Lake. This is not ideal having to drop into Crescent Lake before Ice Cave. Probably going to cost me a minute or so. That might be the better alternative if we're having a sorcerer disaster. There are sorcerers on the same floor as the eye fight. So while you're walking back and forth there and getting your eyes, it's possible to get a sorcerer to the face. I could have bought 6 more Phoenix Downs the first time I was at Crescent Lake. I didn't know I would need that many in ordeals. That's probably the most I've ever used in a dungeon. Should be good now. Maxed out on what we can buy for those. I'll have plenty of cash coming out of this. I'm going to buy 99 ethers anyway and a whole bunch of Phoenix Downs. That doesn't change my routing for being able to afford the gold bracelet and pearl rings. Actually, that wasn't too bad. Do I really need haste in Blizzard? Maybe I should just go to Crescent Lake and not even go to Elfland on the way up from Ordeals. Elfland's on the way, so it's not really like even a stop, but going into town to that item shop, which is fairly close to the back, maybe Ordeals to Crescent Lake is the better play. To stock up there on I wouldn't be able to stock up on gold needles. That'd be the problem. Gold needles only in Elfland. Phoenix Downs and Ether is only in Crescent Lake that I can access. The places with Phoenix Downs are really far away. Eight and a half minutes to the eye. It seemed like a lot of time, but I know this cave can be deceptively slow if it wants to be. There are mini fights in here that can really stick you in place for a while. What we get for the first one? It is not the worst possible ones. For example, we got no cockatrices. Usually, though, these are actually race, though it says Spectre. It's part of the big jumble of undead names that are really hard to understand why they swapped around on NES. Arbones, my one true friend in the ice cave. Even with the remake, that doesn't change. Our bones are good, nothing else. You want nothing else at all. Stretch right there is equivalent to the bottom floor of the dungeon, which makes it very, very dangerous. This floor also surprisingly dangerous. You wouldn't think about it too much on NES, but oh man, stuff like those mages, do not mess with them. Oh, night monster ambush. All right, well, hopefully we don't get stun locked here in round one. If we can just get one AoE spell off, it should kill probably about half of them, maybe 2/3. Here we go. Gil managed to tough it out. Dan took quite a few hits without getting paralyzed, which was great. Only 1/3. Gil does not have a good multiplier. Dan, though, should be finishing everything off with this one. Okay, we're halfway across the floor. We get sorcerers. Blizzaris should do more damage. Blizzaris would do 45. Blizzara, yeah, 55. So 2 Blizzaras might be enough to kill him. Not quite enough. Never mind. Maybe a Blizzara plus the Dan Zeus Gauntlet would be enough, and so it's still worth doing the Blizzara strats. At least these guys don't have instant death, and they don't have all-party paralysis. It's that combination that really makes the sorcerers bad. Like, if they just had one of the two, I think that they would be way less offensive enemies. Like, insta-death's pretty bad. But if you could actually attack them, since they don't have a lot of hit points, you could probably kill them pretty fast. But when they paralyze you, it's like you've got no shot. Ooh, that was a really good set of gauntlets. Surprised Dan did that much damage. He must have gotten a really good set of intelligence growth because his MP's good and his damage is exceptionally good. There's one floater, and now we grind. So I would like to get level 31 on Dan. Nobody else really matters. One of the mages I can leave at 25. The other one I want to take to 31 with me. And that basically is setting up the late game spell purchasing. Dan needs to have 33 at a specific spot in the run, which is right after you kill Kraken. And you get roughly 2 levels if you're not really trying to take experience. Like, we run from most things between here and the end of Sea Shrine. And just looking at the numbers, I'm thinking Gil is probably the mage that we want to sacrifice. Gil has had a very, very sorry night. We're not going to do the sacrifice until level 25. Right now we are level 18. Some of us are 19. The ones that successfully defeated, like 4 wizards all by himself. Oh, Gil got a strong up. That probably contributed a lot to the gap, although he's still almost 70 HP back. It's tough to be that separated between the 2 red mages. So Gil would need to get 3 strong levels more than Tomak in order to be able to pass him. And he's got 6 levels to do it. So I am thinking that flame sword is safe in Tomak's hands. Flame sword is about, I want to say 7 more attack power than the coral sword, so it definitely does noticeably more damage. So you want that on the better of your 2 red mages. Pretty sure I saw Dan get a little up there, so we can do some IFACs. So we're going to be grinding on the eye tonight rather than Agama. Did you know? The eye's favorite tree is the birch. Just a random fact. This is a little bit scarier than doing the Agama grind, because the off tile could be a bad encounter like any of these steps. You're really kind of playing the odds that the encounter rate in this dungeon is not like super high. Like, there's definitely some dungeons where you would be very scared taking like even 6 or 10 steps. I feel like Ice Cave, at least on PSP, is like a moderate dungeon rather than a high encounter rate dungeon. GBA, I think it's like super high, but I feel like they toned a few of them down to be a lot friendlier. Mostly about the encounters that you happen to end up getting. Like undead, as much as I complain about the undead here, are probably not terrible. It's the sorcerers, the frosties, and the mages that you really have to worry about. All right, let's see what we get. Sorcerers. All right, those are the ones we have to really worry about. With these levels, we actually do enough damage to one-shot them, which is great. Luckily, there was only 2 because our AoE attacker went down. Don't think that was the Dan level. I probably still need to heal. Thundara is great once you're trying to get your red mage killed off, but we're a little bit too soon for that. Yeah, we're just 22 right now. So we'll give him 1 potion, which is 50 HP. And we did get another level for Dan, so I think it might be time for a second eye fact for the night. Did you know? Eyes grow an entire set of teeth every day. I mean, look at those teeth. They're really, really gigantically pointy and sharp. You don't get that naturally unless you grow your own teeth continuously every 24 hours. I can do that too. You're not special. You generally want to minimize the number of Thundaras. I mean, you can't do anything to minimize it, but you hope that there is a minimal number until you actually want the red mage killed. Hey, Digital Zero. You picked up PSP version, nice. I would definitely recommend it. Like, if somebody wants to play Final Fantasy and you don't have a lot of nostalgia for the NES, or you don't like a lot of NES games, like if you've played, all the Dragon Warriors on NES, then go ahead and play Final Fantasy NES. But if you're not in that bucket, which very few people these days are, then GBA and PSP are the 2 best versions to get. GBA is actually probably more accessible right now because PSP, there is no version electronically available in the US. It will sell you the PlayStation 1 version, which is really, really strange. So the PSP version, the 20th anniversary version, is disc only, and it's kind of silly that they locked it up like that. Yeah, the Winterswan Color version, I really like that one. I might do a Winterswan Color playthrough just for fun, just to show it off. It's similar to the PlayStation 1 version. You play PlayStation 1 on hard difficulty. It is much like Wonderswan Color, except Wonderswan Color is Japanese only, and slightly worse graphics and sound. Well, if you play on an original Wonderswan, much worse graphics and much worse sound, just because the Wonderswan Color was kind of optimized for battery life over everything else. Like a Wonderswan Color gets amazing playtime on like one battery. And even like the Swan Crystal, which is an upgraded version that has a better screen, still gets amazingly good battery life. But they do it by kind of sacrificing the screen a little bit. They definitely sacrifice the audio. You have to have this special connector to get headphone audio output, which is really strange. Oh man, more sorcerers. Luckily, we're starting to get better at speed, and also we do enough damage to take out one sorcerer per hit. Unfortunately, Wonder Swan by this point, the prices have gone up a lot. I'm not sure if it's like people that really want to play it. It's more like collectors that just want to have one in their collection, and they probably never touch it. Like a lot of the Wonder Swan color games that are particularly notable because they're famous franchises or like very good games that don't have a port anywhere else. Like there's a couple of shmups and fighting games that are unique to the Wonder Swan color. Those have like ridiculous prices these days. And the systems themselves also got a lot pricier. Alright, we need Gil to have some kind of accident here. He's got 91 hit points, which is probably too much to kill with one Thundara, but maybe we'll get lucky. Ooh, another level for Dan. That's probably level 26, and it's great timing because I have another eye fact. Did you know the eye is actually not an eye at all? He's a mobile piece of jello, which has been molded to look really scary. It does really good. Like, look at that guy. He would make an excellent Halloween decoration. Yeah, the Swan Crystals is the one that's the expensive one. It's unfortunately also the one that you really want because the screen quality is so good. The original Wonder Swan color, it's totally reflective. So if you're in a dark room, you can't see it. If you're in a room that's too bright, you can't see it. If there's direct sunlight, you can't see it. It's very, very touchy. Whereas the Swan Crystal is more like a GBA in terms of the brightness for its screen. So you're able to see it in a lot more conditions. And even the GBA was not like really known for its great screen quality. It was the which one was it? The GBA SP that everybody wanted. But the Wonder Swan color is like a couple notches below that. How does Jello grow a full set of teeth every day? A wizard did it, probably Dan. Almost every explanation of how some horrible thing happens in this world, mostly due to Dan. Man, Gil actually felt more HP back during that. I mean, Tomac has got actually really good growth here. You're often seeing your other red mage in like the 325 range or so. Being over 375 is pretty far ahead in terms of growth. Like, there's generally a big separation between your white mage and your red mage at this stage, and it's very close between them. So both the fighter and our primary red mage have gotten some very good HP growth here. Fighter basically since the beginning of the game. He was right out the gate getting some extremely good levels. believe that's level 27 for Dan. Again, 31 is our target. And with Gil dead, we actually get 4/3 experience share of this eye. So 3225 base. If you're splitting it 4 ways, you're looking at a little bit more than 800 experience. It's 806 per level up. You lose 1 because of the rounding of the XP. And then 3 ways, it jumps up to it's like 1070. What is it? 1072. I think you actually get a bonus experience point because of the rounding working in your favor of that one. You missed with all party members on an ogre 5 turns in a row. That's actually pretty bad luck. It's closer to NES in terms of stats, so you will notice that it's a lot streakier in the early game. But there are a couple of good things about that. Because it's closer to NES stats, I feel that aquatic encounters are not as bad in the early game. A lot of the difficult things here for like late game running, I think, are not as bad as well. So you can kind of get away with more. Like, I basically described it as it's very similar to the PlayStation 1, which is NES with the bugs fixed and a couple of optional conveniences. Like you can have dash if you want it, but if you don't want it, that's fine. You can have auto targeting if you want, and if you don't want it, that's fine as well. Do all the stats work? Starting in GBA is when they made the intelligence stat do something. That was never really a bug, it's just that they didn't have anything implementing intelligence. My guess is that they had something complex intended for the way it was supposed to work, and they just didn't have time to flesh it out, or gave up on the idea. Oh man. Don't want to see this. Come on. Clutch. 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 Ooh, it's up to Dan. Resist, Dan, resist. One more, Dan. You got to do it one more time. Oh, yes. Dan's so good. Is Dan good? No, Dan is the best. Dantastic. What a great word. It could be positive, it could be negative. It's definitely Danful, though. That's why you're usually saving during this process, but I'm trying to get through this with as like minimal as I can for safety saves. I started off with doing no saves at all, and then once we got into the run, like my first save was at Lich, which is a little bit more than an hour in. Is that 20 or 29? I've lost count on Dan. Yeah, I know he's still in the 20s, but he's getting close to being done. It's also confusing because we have Dan and Doma, so there's 2 D characters that I see level ups for. And the level ups go by so quickly, like you can barely get any information out of them if you're holding the button down. So you're just trying to parse out the name, or like an HP total, or just like some little bit that you can grab from it. regardless of where Dan is now. Where Dan is going is clear. Level 31, which should be fairly close by. You know, it's been a while. We have missed out probably on at least 2 IFACs. Let me give you a bonus IFAC here. With Dan maybe hitting level 30, did you know? The Eye's middle name is Ernest. Before tonight, I did not know that. Hey, Sniper, welcome in. Why level 31? We're actually going for level 33 at the conclusion of Sea Shine. But I have to make a guess about how much experience I'm going to get between here and the end of that. This is like a conservative amount. So like, usually I need a little bit extra experience at Sea Shine. Like I'll be high level 31, low level 32 when we get over there and beat Kraken up. And the reason I want that is 33 is what's required for 7th tier spells on a white mage. And I would like to get the Healaga spell, which is really, really good for Chaos. Tomak explosively growing his HP. 450 on a red mage here. He might have 500 at Chaos. It is a beautiful sight. Awesome. We should have 31 Dan here. I may have missed the level up indication. Nope, still 30. Tomak just has that much more experience than everybody else. I mean, he's been amazing. Like, I think Tomak has survived every single wizard battle. Might have, no. Yeah, he survived. I think he survived every single wizard battle, which is a pretty impressive feat. There we go. Now we're rolling the 31s for everybody else. So we are done with our eye grind here. We can go ahead and get Gil back to life. Start picking up some experience on him as we go through the rest of the game. Go ahead and drop one safety save, because we did do a lot of grinding there. And B3 is... It's interesting. Like, at this level, you should be much better than you were before. But it's not easy by any means. You have so many things that could go wrong on this floor. Let's see how much more damage that Diarra does now. We got... I don't know if we got a multiplier there. Dan had a multiplier super early. And then might have just like not gotten any intelligence for any of those levels. Like, doing less damage than Gil is really shocking. Ooh boy, there's the mages, but the preemptive. This version's a 90% chance of preemptive, so you actually reasonably can get through the mage battles. If it wasn't for the preemptive, those things starting off with Faraga, that is like incredibly unfair. Not as bad as the Frosties, I think. Because the Frosties, you have no chance, really, of ambushing. And their Blizzard Breath is, it's spectacular. Whoever made that Blizzard Breath deserves a raise, because they did an amazing job doing damage with it. I should probably just defend instead of running. It's a slightly faster turn animation. Did I really use no ethers until then? That's shocking. Normally I'm pounding those ethers a lot. I guess I had a lot of potions, so I didn't need to do any spells for healing. in many playthroughs, I don't bother stocking up additional potions. Instead, I just let the potions run out naturally and switch over to ethers so that I can do heals with Dan. Twice in a row, our caribou and white crack. The hardest combination probably in the canoeing section is that one right there. Fairly uncommon and does a lot of damage. Poisonous nachos on their hand. They might be poisonous, but they're oh so delicious. It's hard to resist. Duck in here and grab our airship. So this is our well-deserved reward for having beaten the eye several dozen times. We didn't just murder him once. We murdered him over and over again until we were 100% certain that this airship was ours. A lot of the oddity of that is just that the music takes a while to load in because it's having to pull it off the disc, and they will block your game for a little while, but they're not going to block it until everything loads. So you actually hear the airship whirring noise by itself for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then the music kicks in, and it suddenly sounds a lot better. When it's just the airship noise alone, and there's no music in the background, it sounds really weird. There we go, Presto Changeo. We are changing some classes. Most people getting a style makeover in the process. I would say I like the red mages maybe better than the red wizards. They're both very stylish. White wizard definitely 100%. I think the knight I would pick over a fighter. He does have the goofy hairband, but everything else about him is really good. And the red mage is the red wizard. I think the red mages look really good. Maybe not the biggest fan of the striped pants, but the rest of their outfit is pretty sharp. And when they go to red wizards, it's not really that much better. Hey, Breskley. The perfect time to get attached. We're about to go and fight Carrie here. Beat up our second of the 4 fiends. I didn't do any shopping beforehand, but I don't think I really need to. And I'm pretty sure the run I compare against also did not do any shopping, so it's a fair and accurate assessment. I was hoping it'd be the 1 encounter Gurgu Volcano, but 2 encounters is not terrible. Two encounters is still decent. Like, that would be like the best you could expect to have happen to you on GBA. Hey, Graffin, welcome in. Just Time for the second of our 4 fiends here tonight. We're gonna fight some carries. And hopefully this is gonna go really well. We got tempers. We got a decent sword, and we've got Dan. We've got Dan on our side. Which is why we're fleeing. Should also haste at the start. That would help. I mean, the tempers are gonna help too, but 1 haste would be really good. Maybe we just need tempers. Ooh, kill. Right in the face. Carrie's feeling pretty frisky there. And she's also feeling pretty dead. So there we go. 1 fiend added to our collection. 2 out of 4 done. Only some slight collateral damage. I kind of don't like Gil dying because he's already... I mean, he's back a bunch of levels intentionally for the grind. And if he misses out on the fiend experience, then he might be finishing the game like 1 level lower than normal. And his HP total already is not so hot. Gil looks like Dan. I don't think so. Dan is bold and flexing. Gil is sad and lounging. Go ahead and grab Thundara here. I don't think I need any item pickups. We're really good on those. Okay, you get Patera. We got 1 Thundara. Or Thundaga, sorry. Thundara would be not all that impressive now. Thundaga, though, actually useful in like Sea Shrine. What else would be useful? Melmont. We need to get Warp. Normally I go to Melmont before doing the battle for Gaia. There's our Giant's Tonics. Some speed drinks. We're good for those. Should have left Dan behind to guard the airship. Also, I'm pretty sure this is unrunnable. We got the Ogre Magi Cerberus battle on that square. I don't think that there is a Cerberus by themselves fight. It's really ambiguous, though, for some of the unrunnables. So just to be safe, if you're anywhere near Onrak and you get either a Cerberus or a Frostwolf, you probably have to take the encounter. Shield can go, Worm Killer can go, Ritual Gloves can go, and we should stock up on anything we're missing. Not many of those missing. That's Phoenix down for the rest of the game, Cottages for the rest of the game, and tents can go. Probably should have sold the tents first so that the cottages went into a better square. But whatever, we might get Power Glove into that square, which would be really good. It's a very convenient square for it. Relatively near the top. Easily accessible in combat. Hello there, how you doing tonight? You bring us some Oxyal as a gift. What year wedding anniversary do you get Oxyal for your partner? That's probably one of those weddings that I don't really have a good sense for the date of. Maybe it's like the 11th anniversary. That's the axial year. Raga all around. Diaga for Dan and Hilara. Hilara is especially good just for like overworld healing, so that you don't have to go into everybody's slot one by one getting those heals done. Although it's pretty inefficient, so it's very easy to burn through a lot of ethers if you do that. Actually, should be very close to where I want to be on rack. Let's see, going up north. That's not too bad. That route actually worked out pretty good. Maybe the only thing that wasn't ideal was the flying around from the airship from the first time. So I think what happened was I got coming out of Gurgi Volcano. It's going to take me to Gaia rather than to the Onrak area, so I'm a little bit off where I want to buy the bottle. Maybe if I did Melmond and then, I guess that's basically my old route, except I should just be flying south instead of north at the beginning. I'll figure it out. Game wraps around, so it's sometimes really close about whether you want to go in what seems like the right direction or the opposite direction in order to save a couple of squares. And NES, like on the ship, you have to map it out because you need to have a consistent route through there. But the remakes, it's like, it's more up in the air. You take 2 extra steps, it's like not really a big deal at all. I kind of like the nightmares better. I thought I liked the golems more, but no. I've changed my mind. More nightmares, please. Actually, better if we got neither of them. No encounters at all. The problem with nightmares is that they're still really hard to run away from. Like, you would think that having 20 more levels, maybe not 20, 16 more levels than we had the last time that we saw them, they'd be super easy. But no, they still remain hard to run from, even that another 5 or 6 levels from now. Almost tempting. Double Whiz Mummy's not too bad. I can have you queued up on attack and then still retain the Blizzara as my magic option. The memory cursor is really interesting in this version of the game because it will remember all the sub-menus like independently. So even though I'm not using magic right now, it still remembers the last spell that I cast, both for battle as well as for the overworld as separate options. So like everything has got a history that you have to know exactly what you did last time in order to know where your cursor is going to be. A lot of games and a lot of other versions of this game will like reset everything if you move to a different option, which is a lot easier to deal with. How does Gil have like 2 multipliers over Tomac despite being 6 levels lower? Makes absolutely no sense. Ooh, actually we got a lot of mummies. Very rare in this version of the game to get Good mummy value here. It has been a quiet night. This is also, I'm guessing because of the holiday, a lot less people than usual dropping in. I was kind of surprised because I thought that with many people having days off from like school and from work, that there'd be more people on Twitch tonight. All right, robot, now get out of the way. We don't need you anymore. Go to the rubbish bin. There, perfect. Ribbon, defender. Teleport. He's still on cure from like probably 2 hours ago from the last time he used that spell. Got some Oxiel. Got a Ribbon Defender. It's time to go fight an octopus. And also save some spooky ghost mermaids. Really just the one that's spooky and ghostly. The other ones are regular mermaids. They're not nearly as cool. And so here we go. My favorite dungeon. The Sea Shrine is always really fun. Mostly okay encounters. If you ever do need extra experience, those sea snakes are surprisingly good. Lobsters and sea trolls, not really, but the sea snakes, I don't know why they are actually decent experience. And of course, grape sharks and grape shark jelly. A fine commodity to pick up whenever you're traveling through here. Also some ghosts. We get Gil going with that Faraga. This is probably going to one-shot them. I've got the weirdest red mages right now. I've got one red mage, Tomak, who thinks he's a fighter. Because his spells are terrible. And his HP is incredible. And Gil's like the exact opposite. He is the red magiest red mage I think I've ever had. There's my helm, and there is my slab. So we are done with the top half of the dungeon. They've managed to correctly put the ruby armlet not on my fighter this time. Game would be 100% better if you could door glitch. I agree. These dungeons need way more doors. I actually took 2 doors out of this version of the game. There's rooms that have nothing in them in the original, and they're just like blank wall right there. I'm going to test to see if I don't need the Zeus Gauntlet to finish this battle off. That's decent damage, and Gil might do that much with Thundara. He does. So basically, Gil's intelligence is so much better. His Thundara is the same as the other Red Mage's Thundaga, who is 6 levels higher. It makes no sense. Look, the troll's trying to figure it out, and it's giving him a headache. coming up on our ribbon here. And if I don't have 33, which I'm not going to, when I pick this up, we take the trap tile to get there. I've been fairly short every time through PSP. GBA seems to be a lot closer. And I wonder if there is some difference. I mean, I know the encounter rates are different. And maybe that's enough. I might also be doing slightly different strats for which encounters that I'm taking. But I'm ending up with way less experience than I did on GBA. Thundaga are probably not the right move. Doesn't do enough damage to kill purple sharks, and we're not having Dan Gauntlet. So Gil should almost certainly do more physical attacks and just let Tomak Thundaga, or the other way around. Sakatana, welcome in. Okay, yeah, Dan is 32, but we need to be 33 to get our spells. So I'm just hoping for more monsters in these fights. It's 1-2 Gershark plus 0-1 Wizzahag. And if we had full combinations, or at least just double Gersharks, we'd be in better shape. That's gonna work. That probably is not gonna work. Hey, Epic Name Bro, welcome in. We're getting ready to work on our third fiend right here. It's been a really weird party so far. So we've got a super burly red mage, and then actually a good spellcaster red mage, which I'm not used to dealing with. It's almost like they're tempting me to keep Gil alive, but I know he's not going to be at all helpful in any of the boss fights, because he's just going to get one shot by everything. We do have a Dapper Kraken coming up. We need to be level 33 to be adequately dapper for the fight. 32 will just not do. And you can kind of risk Dan getting 33 on Kraken. But I really don't like doing it, since if you fail to get the level, let's say you either miscalculate it or Dan dies during the fight, the monsters outside are really terrible for XP. So it would take you a very long time to make up that missing experience compared to what you would get inside here on these fights. You can do it. You just need one measly, maybe a quarter of a level. Each Gershark, almost one Agama worth of experience, so you get a decent amount. You know what? I just said I wasn't going to risk it, but I'm going to risk it. We could also get some other battles on the way down, since we have to get through all of Kraken's floor here. So if there's some water elementals, I don't think there can be ghosts, or purple sharks anymore, but water elementals would definitely put us over the top. These guys. Why is Gil's HP so bad? Well, first of all, he's a couple levels back, but second, he's absolutely awful. To make up for, though, Tomac, my other red mage, is amazing. I have never had, or if I have had it, it's been very, very rare to have so much HP early on in the eye fight. Like, this is an incredible amount that we managed to come out with. So I'm very happy with how one of my red mages did. I'm very happy with my fighter. Dan's okay. Dan's neither great nor awful. He's just Dan. Good start. If Kraken's gonna punch anybody, the fighter is your best choice. Your fighter at least has like actual real armor. Hey, Noble Supremacy. This game is really good with the graphics updates. Like GBA and PSP are not that different, but PSP definitely has an edge overall. There's like really nice graphics, really nice sound as well. Something that was kind of a weakness for the GBA version. We're just gonna sit there and block, let Doma do all the work, which is complete. 3 fiends down, 1 fiend to go, and then 4 more fiends, and then a boss, and then some more bosses. There's a lot left to go, but we're doing good. Everybody celebrates, especially Dan. Dan was big in that fight. Those Proteras are so important to have. Yeah, Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 are actually on the PSP. 3 is more awkward to get just because it was very limited availability. But 1 and 2 were extremely popular, so they are cheap and plentiful. Okay, let's go ahead and drop in for our item shop. Refill our ethers. Cool, cottages are fine. I probably don't need more items for the rest of the game. We do, though, need Heal Laga. Heal Laga is really the secret sauce for Chaos. If you don't have that, then you need Mega Elixirs or lots of regular Elixirs. It's a really tough fight keeping up with the amount of damage that Chaos can do. Is the mermaid in the Lake Spring Grotto named Daryl? Daryl's a different mermaid in the game. She's the one that left behind the life there and went to live in Gaia. fast maneuvering. We don't want to collide with any of these people. We just want to talk to Dr. Un. Everybody's favorite, most amazing, exciting person to ever speak to. You'll just be having a conversation and then suddenly, bam, he's taught you a foreign language. Hey, Nebus, welcome in. With our mastery of Lufenia safely under our belts, it's time to go over there and see what terrible secrets this town holds. Also, we'll crash into a monster and mountain and probably die from both of those. The monsters here are actually not terrible. There is a few fights until I get east of this lake, which are kind of dangerous. But we're east of the lake, so we're fine. Once we're on the east side here, the only one that we have to take is the Zombul troll fight because it's unrunnable. Everything else we can get away from. Although maybe we would, maybe we'd take a Tyro if we were feeling really hungry. Do I submit times? I mean, most of them are categories which are not really well defined. So the Final Fantasy leaderboards are like not something I worry too much about. There's that group. I think it'll be slightly faster to not use spells here with only 2 of them. How do the giants float? They're very, very light. Giants are extremely buoyant and at danger of flying away with the slightest breeze. We should just wait for them to blow away. Like, we don't even have to fight them. There we go. 1 chime obtained. That chime, we have access finally to the 4th Fiend's dungeon. We already got our cube back at Waterfall, so we can do everything in 1 pass. I think they were kind of designing this for people that would not figure out Waterfall. So they would do Sea Shrine, it's the obvious one, get into Mirage Tower, and then find out that they couldn't progress. But I really wish that they had swapped the role of the cube and chime, because Waterfall is pretty fast, and if you could get into Mirage Tower then, I think that would be a really great place to get experience and get some good equipment before fighting Kraken. As it is, you basically spend a lot of extra time if you don't kill Kraken in 1 trip down there. Oh, there you go. There's the cottage. I will think about taking this one. You might want a Blizzara here. Ice is the weakness of Chimeras. But assuming we get some good rolls with both red mages, we shouldn't need them for repair. Hey, Tokyo, welcome in. Thanks for the good wishes there. Go ahead and snag my Aegis shield. There we go. A little bit past it. With the Aegis shield, I've got poison and petrification resistance. It is complementary with the dragon mail that we're going to get on the 2nd floor here, and then the pro ring gives you life resistance, so you're fairly well protected against most unpleasant monsters. Look at that. Bonus Bloody, 1 in 64 encounter to find elsewhere in the dungeon besides his customary boss tile square. I mean, I guess the experience is not bad. And he's a relatively quick fight with this party. I could probably just run from these guys, but this is 2 Agamas worth of experience. And how do you say no to that? Cerebus is here. Usually not at all threatening on NES. They actually do have respectable amounts of damage here in the remake. They've been given enough buff on their intelligence that without resistances, you'll notice the damage overall. Like, it's probably going to be about 120 to 160 per round without protective gear. How does PSP compare to GBA for a run? So PSP, because I'm playing with a UMD disc, has really slow load times. You'll definitely notice that right off the bat. Most other things are very similar. It does have lower encounter rates than GBA, so you get a little bit of time back on that. But I would say that overall, they're very, very similar versions. Because of the slow load times, I'm actually playing this single segment, which means I'm trying to complete the game without resetting or game overing or anything. I do take a couple of safety saves just in case so I can finish a run, but like I'll save maybe 3 or 4 times the entire night with this. And that's a really different way of playing. There's a lot of things in GBA which use save scumming to get past, where you just like save every couple of steps. That's a great way to get through ordeals. Like the bottom floor of the ice cave, there is a really high chance of dying on the wizards and on Lich and so on. So having the ability to quickly skip through things is really important. Like GBA, you'll skip like anything that's even a slightly slow random encounter because it's so much faster than trying to deal with like an unrunnable fight or getting stun locked or things like that. So your strategy has to change a little bit to have a good single segment route. These vampires. Vampires are fairly tough to run from. I don't think they're unrunnable. Or at least on NES, this is a runnable formation. The original vampire in Earth Cave is unrunnable, but that's actually a different formation number than the one here in Mirage Tower. But I'm going to guess that they have such high agility that at the levels that our characters currently are, they're just not able to really compete with it. It's like running from a nightmare or from a Frosty. Here's our guaranteed Blue D, and he's pretty easy in this one. NES, you got a lot more of a problem with it because you're very low level. So your physical attacks have a hard time dealing with monsters that have lots and lots of defense. With a few extra levels, then you start not noticing the penalties as much, and you more focus on like what's the fastest speed that you can go and complete things for some of the fights. Hardcore mana cores. I mean, we could get one poison dart. Yep. Gil, of course, taking poison darts to the face. Everybody else immune. And Gil would have been immune if we had gotten around the corner and picked up the ribbon for him. Using those mana cores almost in the exact same spot they would be in for the NES version with my normal route. So there's just I'm not grabbing there is the Diamond Shield, which you don't need in this version because you don't have the second knight. There's only one shield to grab, which is the Aegis. Ooh, Gurmedusas. I mean, these are good for experience. You're looking at about a half Agma per Medusa. And they don't have a lot of HP, so one Faraga. We'll take them right out. I love those slapping sounds. It sounds like somebody's giving you a massage, but it's probably not as fun as an actual massage. Take the safety save. This is probably a good time for one. The last one was all the way back in the ice cave. This one will cover this floor here, which has sorcerers, and also the Warmech floor upstairs. We will hopefully not be getting Warmech tonight. You do have a lower encounter rate, and also Warmech is a 1 in 64 instead of a 3 in 64 in this version, so he's a lot rarer in the remake versions. That would have been a really tough battle back at Ordeals. I mean, you could probably do that. It's just annoying that the Medusas are weak to fire, and the Man-Cats you need to use lightning for. So you'd probably be in there for a lot of rounds for that fight. What would the category for completing all bonus dungeons be called? I would probably just call it all bonus dungeons. All bosses is a little bit different because there are multiple bosses in each bonus dungeon. So you have to complete them multiple times to have all bosses. I know people have done both variants. I actually did an all bonus dungeons run on GBA for GBA Challenge Week. And that one was pretty fun. PSP, because you've got Labyrinth of Time as well, would take a lot longer to do all bonus dungeons, unfortunately. But it would still be really cool. Hey Jack, welcome in. Good thing with that Protect up. So the Protect is very effective against monsters that have many attacks per round. Like Tiamat's got 6 heads and 6 attacks. Kraken's got 8 tentacles. And that stacking effect means that spells like Protect, which are giving you reduction per hit, are incredibly effective. There you go. One Tiamat down. For the bonus dungeons, you have to do the Earth one 3 times. That's the 5-floor one. It's pretty short. Fire you have to do twice. That's 10 floors. Sea you have to do twice. That's 20 floors. And Wind is the only one that you can do in one pass. That one's 40 floors, so it's a good thing you can do it in one pass. Labyrinth of Time is interesting. Technically, there's 8 different versions of Carnadia, and they have different bestiary entries. So if you want to have 100% bestiary, you need to do it 8 times. But it's the same name monster for all 8. It's Carnadia that just has different stats. So it would be really debatable about what you need to do for all bosses. I would probably say if you wanted all bosses, you have to do it 8 times because they did make separate bestiaries for it, and that's the basically in-game notion of 100%. Is there 4 times? I thought there was only 3 bosses in there for Final Fantasy 3 bosses. Maybe I'm thinking about Final Fantasy 3 and thinking that it's also 3. You might be correct though, because I kind of remember it being the corners for the directions of the different boss flames. Good splits. I think we've had some really good luck tonight on a lot of sections. I haven't done a ton of single segment completions, so that also is something that impacts it. Single segment is really, really tough to get started. So you would you'd spend a lot of time resetting to get a good enough start in the early game to be able to get through it. But hopefully we got it tonight. Performs are exactly what we want to see. We don't want frosties. We also don't want gasties. Okay, that's a good start. That was a good floor. What was the extra scene? That is the Labyrinth of Time introduction. That's the PSP exclusive dungeon. I'm going to say this is going to be so tough to run from that I just want to blast him. This is a very uncommon encounter on this floor. It's very similar to formation on Tiamat's floor where you're going to see it more often. I'm happy though, because I could get a free Mega Elixir. If I get a Mega Elixir drop from Zombie D, that would be amazing. Mega Elixir. Did not get a Mega Elixir. And we got some Gasties. So the problems with Gasties are many. They hurt a lot, they're unrunnable, and they've got a lot of hit points, so they're really tough to deal with. Gil especially is going to get hurt a lot by them. Gil does not have... Or no, everybody's got poison resistance right now, never mind. Right? Yeah, everybody should have resistance. I was thinking Gil didn't have it, but that's not true for the current one. Once we swap the ribbons around, it'll be true. What is a Vampire Lord in NES? That's the Whiz Vamp. He's the red vampire with the A fire, which actually works in this version. Our fighter needs the ribbon right here so that he doesn't get paralyzed. Actually, you can Tiaga and actually make some progress on it. If Raga should do more damage than the mage's attacks. There we go. I can't believe I lost time on that. That felt like a really good Temple of Fiends. I must have had like the perfect Temple of Fiends in the other one. Elixirs needed for the chaos fight. You either need that elixir, or you need the Mega Elixir on Carrie's floor, or you need to get a lucky elixir drop from Zombie D, or you need to get an elixir from the 15 puzzle. And I go for the emergency exit on the 15 puzzle, which is a different prize pool than the Mega Elixirs. So I'm probably not getting those. And Zombie D drops are really rare. You're only guaranteed one Zombie D prior to fighting Phantom. So your odds of getting a 1 in 64 drop are not very large. And that usually leaves picking up the elixir in Phantom's room. It's a lot closer to grab that than it is to get the Mega Elixir on Carrie's floor. More purple worms. That's okay. Good experience. We don't really need levels, but you know, I guess we'll take them. It's better than Frosties. Wow, we just had a Frostyless Chaos Shrine there. That is very uncommon. I like it, though. I wish that happened way more often. At least on PSP, you got a lower encounter rate, so maybe it does have a higher chance of working. On GBA, you're getting a battle like every 6 to 10 steps. It is really tough to get down those hallways without multiple fights. So your odds of getting Frosties is much higher. Elementals, the only unrunnable here. Elementals, Earth, Fire, Water are unrunnable. Gerbidusas would be really needed for playing on NES. But we don't actually need the petrification trick here. You'll notice that Flare does less damage with the remake version. I think Glitch just doesn't have enough intelligence to really fully power it. Did GBA have a higher encounter rate? Yes, GBA's got the highest encounter rate of all the remake versions. And then PSP toned it back down a little bit, which is good because it was ridiculous. PSP is still very high, but it's not nearly as bad as the previous ones. PlayStation 1 might be very close. I have a hard time telling whether PlayStation 1 is closer to GBA or PSP. I feel like it's closer to GBA, so it might be another one that's super high for your chances of encounters. All right, good fight. One of the 4 fiends down again. Glitch 2, I think, did not come out very well with the remake. Just the lower damage on Flare really hurts his ability to cause havoc. Like, he's probably stuck in the maybe about 200 to 300 damage range instead of 200 to 400 like he was on NES. And also you've got higher levels because experience is easier to come by. So most of your characters are going to have more HP, except for red mages, who were pretty heavily nerfed. And even they can get lucky. Like, Tomac there has got exceptionally good red mage HP tonight. Put that pro cape on Dan. We gotta keep Dan alive for the bosses. Very important to have your white wizard survive. There we go. He'll just like permanently be on temper. Tomac has to go back and forth between haste and temper. And Dan's actually pretty useful for Pateras here. The fights are slower since I don't have Excalibur. Getting Excalibur Forged, I think, takes more time than you save in the battles. Like, it's 1 extra round of combat for the 4 Fiends and for Chaos. Maybe 2 for Chaos, because doing Chaos with the Sun Sword takes a little bit of buffing to get over his initial defense. There we go, 2 Fiends down. GBA does have strong level up still scheduled. Basically, the way that it works is NES it was either guaranteed strong or guaranteed not strong. And there was no random element to it other than there's a small, like, about 4 to 5 HP difference for each level up. And that made it extremely predictable. It also really favored some classes like red mages because they got a lot of strong level ups early. So they were generally very, very well positioned for speedrunning type parties. And in the remakes, they took a lot of the strong level ups out and gave you a 1 in 4 chance of getting a strong level up even if it wasn't scheduled. So now there's a big element of chance, especially in the early levels, where you only have a handful of strong level ups now instead of almost every other level up. And for red mages, they also took away a lot more guaranteed strong level ups than any other character class. So they went down a lot in their average HP. Favorite boss? I mean, my favorite boss has to be Kraken, but I think that the most fun boss is Chaos. Like, he's just the most interesting overall because he's got so many different moves, and at least in this version, it's a lot of setup in order to be able to fight him. So it's a really complex fight overall. But Kraken definitely is my most frustrating boss and the one that I most enjoy killing. Kind of had to take Gil off temper. Kind of wanted to leave him on there the whole time, but you know, the Blizzards were pretty important. Blizzard is the weakness of water metals, so it does a lot of damage and makes those fights much faster. Which section of the run is the biggest run killer? For single segment, there are 3 things, maybe 4. There are 4 things that are really bad. The wizard fight in Marsh Cave, and I might throw Astos in there together with it. Lich 1, Ordeal's 3rd floor, and then Ice Cave 2nd and 3rd floor. Really just the whole Ice Cave. Outside of those spots, your chances of dying are very low. And so it's more about your overall execution than anything else. Then there's a lot of randomness in the encounters. So you can easily have twice as many encounters over the course of the game as somebody else. And that's a very big swing in terms of your overall time. Especially if you get some bad encounters that are like super slow. Warmech. No Warmechs tonight, thankfully. Maybe we'll go find Warmech. That is a fun pastime whenever we have good runs to cap it off with a celebratory Warmech, who is actually called Warmech again in this version. In GBA and PlayStation, he's renamed to Death Machine, but PSP they named him back to Warmech, which I really like. No Mazmunes for us. Mazmune, it's a good sword, but the time it takes to get there, I think outweighs the savings for the 2 battles that you're going to fight with it. You save 1 round in Tiamat, you'd save 2 rounds in Chaos. More glitched runs. We'll do glitched runs at some point. I'm having a lot of fun with Glitchless, so I've just been doing a little bit longer than I planned. But my intention is still to get to glitched runs later on in the month. Anybody die? Nobody gets baned. Through neither ribbon nor Aegis shield. Oh, speaking of which, I think Doma still has the ribbon on, not Gil. There he goes. Glitch runs are incredibly fast. You break the game almost immediately. There's two really tough spots. Or they're not tough, but two spots where you have to actually have a chance of dying. There's Lich 1, and then there is Chaos. And other than that, you're really hoping for good encounters and very good execution. Alright, I think we got everything we've come for. It's time to fight some Chaos. This is a long fight. It's definitely a very intensive battle. He's got 20,000 hit points. We need to do a whole lot of buffing to stay alive, and a whole lot of buffing just to be able to do damage to him. Like, if I just attacked right at the start, I'm probably not going to break 50 damage. And that's hundreds and hundreds of attacks to kill him. So you definitely need to do a lot of buff stacking. And whenever you die, you lose all your buffs. So it's really important to keep the right people alive. Basically, everybody but Gil. Gil is going to be a sacrifice. Maybe he'll get through round 1, though. There's a possibility. Are there fights on Chaos Floor? No. So Chaos's floor always has no encounters. Gil dies by 5. If he just had a little bit more HP, if Tomek had shared just a little bit of that HP, I would have some additional turns which I could be doing some like Giants tonics, maybe some tempers. It would be really nice. But no, he's gone. Gone forever. Are you doing a cure? Like I catch up on healing? Like Blizzaga does let me also catch up a little bit, but this guarantees that my white mage gets pretty close to full here. I didn't ether at the start. Oh boy. This is going to be exciting. That was not what I intended. I'm going to have to be throwing ethers during the fight from my red mage, which is going to be fun. I was not expecting to get sub 3. That is way too far off with how long this fight is. This is like a 6-minute fight. The interesting thing will be, will Dan's MP last through this fight? If not, then Tomek has to start throwing ethers every round to keep up with Chaos's damage. Who's Tomek? Good question. Doma I know. Doma's from Final Fantasy VI. Tomek and Gil. Gil sounds like a Final Fantasy V name. Tomek, though, I have no idea where that one's from. Might be Final Fantasy III. I want to see where we are in damage. So we got a bunch of tempers, a couple of sabers. Yeah, we can go start doing speed drinks now. Hopefully Chaos does not get the Cure 4 off. I probably buff more than I really need to. I do like extra buffs because I don't have Mazmune, but I probably do like 1 or 2 rounds more than strictly required. Good, okay, sticking with the skills is what we want to see here. Just stay away from that Cure 4. It's only 9999 healing, so he doesn't even get healed fully. He's only half healed by it. But it's like 3 rounds I would lose. Tomax in Final Fantasy VI 20th Anniversary Edition. Weird. They added more characters to Final Fantasy VI? Is this like in Thamasa or something? Oh man, it's a race. We've got 3 more Hilagas. I think we can do it. Chaos doesn't do Cure 4. Then I think we can do it without starting to throw ethers. One more to go. Dan's going to exactly run out. He had an exact multiple of 38, which is how much Hilaga cost to cast. There we go. 303. That's